when social media came along and I decided to get in social media and looked at my body of work and I was like, okay, this isn't anything that I'm proud of. So I started collaging work of how I would style black models if I had the opportunity, and then put that onto social media. My name's Caroline Chinakwe and I'm a mixed media artist. I've been a full-time artist now for about 2 years. You know, when they say, you know, follow your dream, follow your passion, my passion was music. Initially, I was like, you know, I wanted to be a singer, really want to be in fashion at all, got into fashion, but studied it and started working very, very early as soon as I finished studying it. And I got into an industry that was new at that time, the garment technology industry and fashion. But I just wasn't really enjoying it and just not seeing, as I said, the way black women were being represented just wasn't right with me. So I started collaging work of how I would style black models if I had the opportunity, and then put that onto social media. And I love dark-skinned women, that's my idea of beauty. And they were the ones that I felt were having the hardest time in the fashion industry. Social media, started liking it. And I found myself really, really getting more into working with black models and black designers. And a friend of mine, Samson Saboye, who's a designer, we started launching projects that was really about promoting black designers and styling, and that led me into working with Africa Fashion Week London, Afro Hair Beauty Show, going to Nigeria and working with brands over there, Lagos Fashion Design Week, and that was it. It was like, yep, this is my lane, this is where I want to stay. So when my friend said, look, I'll manage you, I'll help you put this together, I really believe what you're doing, I was like, well, yeah, just do it. I live in Hampstead, lived there most of my life since I was 16 years old, and walked down the street and everything is white. And like one day I was like, what the hell? You know, my kids are now leaving the borough to find their culture. They have to go to South London, East London, further into North London. The Hampstead borough, which has a lot of black people in it, and a lot of black people spend money in properties in that borough, do not get the recognition. Like, how can I walk down the street and you're supposed to be a multicultural society and I don't see representation of myself in your shops? On the street, in billboards, there's just not enough of it. We want to create spaces where everyone has the opportunity to ask a question. So we had, with my charity group, Camden Black Creatives, we had a pop-up shop in Hampstead, and what we wanted to do was to bring the culture to Hampstead. And it was an amazing space. We had so many people come through the door. White people, white middle-class people, middle-aged people who came in, and obviously they loved it, the vibrancy of the colour. But what I really wanted was conversations, like ask me questions, ask me anything, because what is the meaning behind this? Where did this come from? What was your thinking behind it? And then that way you learn. And this is what we found happen in the space, was that people would come in there for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, just asking questions. We had people coming in there crying after a conversation, after we would talk to them about our culture and the meaning behind our work. But this is what visibility does, and this is what art does. It gives visibility to the minority group and hopefully changes people's view on things. So welcome to my studio. This is like a temporary studio space that we're using in Charlotte Street at the moment. And yeah, I just wanted to show you, this is an example of some of my work, some of my pieces. My whole point of the Chinakwe brand was to create a brand, an art-inspired brand, but also that had products that other people could buy that couldn't afford art, or products that represented our culture that you wanted in your home, like colourful products. So I knew I was always going to expand my art into other products. So this is how the art comes, and it's in a dye-bond print, which is an aluminium print, and it's ready to hang. So you can either buy clay print, which is like a paper print, art paper print, and you frame it, or you buy a dye-bond print and you just hang it. This is some prints that I've been working on, and this is a velvet Chesterfield table. So I really wanted to get into homeware as well, and this is some of the first pieces I produced. This is the original Let Go of Your Past. It's one of the first pieces I created that really, this piece is my favorite piece, and it represents me 100%. So it's got like hand-painted details, photography, collaging, which is how I do my work. But yeah, it's been my most popular piece, the most piece I've sold. I also do lampshades, which a lot of them are custom made, so people can order it and they can choose art prints that they like if they want something a lot more bespoke. Like for instance, this one, it's a velvet lampshade, and it's got the spiritual artwork on it, so people can actually choose bespoke pieces. I've got my t-shirt here. This is a Let Go t-shirt from Colorism. This is a t-shirt dress. Scarves as well that I do, the silk scarves. So yeah, this is, my ambition and my plan is to one day expand the product range and have more things. And I just want a space where, you know, when I did my exhibition in Brixton and people saw the collection, and the feedback I got was, yeah, this is such a good representation of me. This is the kind of stuff that I would have in my home, and that's really what I want. I feel like there is just not enough brands out there that represent us fully, and my ideal place to be one day is to have a shop, whether it's online or brick and mortar, where people can go in and really feel like, yeah, this is the representation of my culture. And yeah, so these are my pieces. What is black art? Is it black art that's done by black people? Is it meant to look a certain way? What is African art? Is it, you know, when people think about African art, they think there's a certain look, there's a certain color palette that's used and stuff. And I was like, well, mine isn't that. Mine is like Afro pop. Second color collection, Colorism, with me now getting more into social justice issues. I'm a lot more intentional with the work that I produce, the meaning behind it, because I know people are going to ask, what is the story behind it? And, you know, the work that I produce is all about social justice. It's about highlighting the issues that we have as black people. For me, I'm trying to concentrate more on how we see ourselves before how other people see us. Obviously, I want the white people to see us in a different way, and they look at the work and it's beautiful, but it's like, how do we see ourselves? What can we do better within ourselves culturally, race-wise, to make life a lot easier? So this is what I want to do with my work. It's like, through beauty comes pain as well, and vice versa. It's like, I want you to look at these work and it's beautiful, but really look at the meaning behind it and discuss it and hopefully make a change. 2020, when I was doing this collection, and I remember speaking to my sister, and I was looking at racism, obviously, and I was like, okay, we're not ever going to eradicate racism. It's always going to be here, but what can we do? And then it took me to colorism. And you know, this young girl called me from Australia to do an interview with me, and she was talking about her experience as a dark-skinned girl living in Australia, and you know, the issues that she was having. She was crying. I mean, this girl was like, she'd have to wake up in the morning, talk herself into going out, and she was a gorgeous black girl. I'm like, are you actually joking? Then I started doing research and seeing stuff on, you know, TikTok and Snapchat and YouTube, where black boys would be saying disgusting things about black girls. I'd rather have a disabled child than have a child with a dark-skinned girl. You know, oh, you're okay for a black girl. You know, just horrible. I was like, what? I was shocked this was still happening now. And I remember talking to my son about it. And I was like, Marcel, you know, it's just going on. He goes, yeah, he has some friends and they'll say these kind of things. So it was really, really shocking. I'm like, we're trying to fight racism. We've got issues within ourselves. So, you know, and then spoke to my sister, and then hearing her story that I had no idea about, because we're both from the same parents. I'm like, I thought we lived the same life, but finding out that she lived a very different life to mine, you know, jobs and going to the pub, for instance, after work, not being invited to certain places by colleagues, and, you know, maybe the mixed race girl might get invited, but the dark-skinned girls, you know, not getting promotions. So you start hearing all these different stories, and you realize that this is still such a big thing with skin tone. But I mean, it's understandable with white people, because obviously if they're racist, they're going to be more inclined to go with a light-skinned person than a dark-skinned person. But to know that we do it within ourselves, it's just, you know, it's like, okay, how do we start having that conversation? Being at the right place at the right time, doing this at the right time, worked a lot easier for me, because we're going through the whole Me Too movement where, you know, women were being recognized. I launched during a pandemic when Black Lives Matter was very, very strong. So it was like, you know, people were a lot more receptive to my work. And I think there are some advantages that you might have that you don't even recognize that you have, which led me to my last series, Colorism, where I started looking at color, looking at race, and realizing that, you've had an advantage to a certain extent. You know, you haven't lived the experience of a lot of black people. One, being a light-skinned black woman, two, growing up in central part of London. I found that one of the first agents I had, my agent who was a black female, she introduced me to this guy, and he was a white agent, a male. And she showed him my work, and I was like, oh my God, it's amazing, blah, blah, blah. He wanted to meet me, he met me, we had a conversation, and he was like, you know, I can sell her. you know, she's easy to sell, she's a unicorn. I'm like, what the hell is a unicorn? Meaning that, you know, and he was saying that, you know, it's very hard for me to find black artists that are like you. I know that there's so many black female artists out there in the UK that are unrepresented. What do you mean you could not find other black female artists? You know, how much did you look? I told my agent we're not going to sign a contract with him, but the funny part of that was that my work in this Soho white members club was the first work he actually sold in the whole thing. So, you know, I just decided from then on that I'm going to be a lot more selective about the way I work and the people that I work with. I'm here at Adorn the Common with Trevor Reed. Trevor, can you tell us about the space?
I can. So this is a pop-up space at the moment, but Adorn is a kind of collaborative art and lifestyle concept that combines art, photography and design, but mixed with homewares and lifestyle products. So it feels like you're walking into someone's house. It gives a little bit more of a warmth to that kind of traditional gallery experience.
Yeah. As you can see, like my little corner here, and tell us some of the other stuff that we've got.
Overall, the concept is to offer art and design to everybody with different access points and to kind of bridge that gap between collectibles and accessible to make sure there's something for everybody and that experience is available to everybody as well. Like Adorn the Common came about as in the name is to adorn, to decorate, to embellish, and the common means for everybody. So it was to be able to offer something to everybody that wanted to walk through the door, really.
That's my next mission, is to start talking to more artists about the future of art and where art needs to go. Digital art is the way to go. The NFT space is the way where you need to be, and what NFT allows you to do as an artist is that you keep on making passive income from your art. So every time the art is sold to someone else, you get an income back from it. But also it allows you to generate money in other ways with your art as well. So, you know, marketing, merchandising, which you can do right now, but, you know, getting into that NFT metaverse space is definitely where to go next for artists. Being a creative is not the easiest journey by any stretch of the imagination. With social media, even though it makes life a lot easier because you're able to reach more people, it makes it also harder because everyone's creative and you're in a world of everyone trying to sell to you. So it's like, how do you stand out and just be true to yourself and your creativity? Take a risk. It is about taking a risk. Don't be afraid, because if you're afraid, you're just never going to do it. You literally have to jump into the pool without a life jacket and hope you float, which majority of the time you probably will, because that's just where you're meant to be. The borough that I live in, Camden, is known as the Arts Borough, with over 100 galleries in just the borough of Camden alone. And when I became an artist and I looked around and I was like, well, there's hardly any black art in these galleries. Like, where are all the black artists? So we started Camden Black Creatives just to kind of like bring more visibility to black creatives. So whether you're an artist or you're a singer, dancer, musician, what we really wanted, I mean, I don't know if anyone knows, like the Roundhouse, for instance, in Camden Borough in Chalk Farm, that was initially meant to be the Black Arts Centre. What we want to do with Camden Black Creatives is literally to get the Roundhouse, not necessarily the Roundhouse back, but a similar space where we can work from and exchange ideas, and where artists and creatives can live and be seen and promote themselves, market themselves, and just for the borough to take us a lot more seriously when it comes to commissioning work. So my social media space, Caroline Chinakwe, or at Chinakwe_. My website, chinakwe.com, which has the full collection on there. If you go to Stork Restaurant in Mayfair, I've got a few of my pieces there. Papa L's in the Mayfair area as well, my pieces are there. And I'll also be having a few pieces in High Timber Restaurant in the city.